Hi guys, how's everybody doing? Tutagamon here. In this video I'm going to benchmark flat-out 4 on a single GTX 970 paired with a Core i5 2500K. This video is recorded on an external recorder at 60 frames per second, so what you will see in this video will be pure performance as always. The Core i5 2500 is running at 4.8 GHz. My usual benchmarking speed. There we are. 16 GB of memory, and the graphics card is a single GTX 970, a Gigabyte G1 model. Latest 4 were installed, and it is also overclocked in order to reach 1.5 GHz. For this benchmark I'm going to use Fraps to collect frame rate data. Speaking of which, we will see the basic result in this file and some analysis with flat at the end of the video. So let me launch the game and let's see how it performs. Not a very heavy game. Okay, let's see the options first. I'm using the same settings as I used on my GTX 1070 video. The 1080p resolution, no vertical sync, and every graphics setting is maxed out. Not many graphics settings, you can see. And for the benchmark I'm going to use a quick race assault mode in Valverde with from dusk till dawn ambience, and I don't care about the damage modifier. This run was quite CPU limited on the GTX 1070 with the 860. I have now a better CPU with a worse GPU. I'm expecting about the same result, maybe a little worse. Okay, start the benchmark. Okay, this is the end of the benchmark. They kicked my butt once again. There's no winning with these guys. I mean, fuck them. A crazy game, as you can see. I'm not sure it is possible to do exactly the same things in every race. 137 frames per second, very good performance result for sure. I do not remember what performance I was getting on the GTX 1070. I believe it was something like that. We will see in a minute. The frame rate is very good, so are the frame times. The GPU usage is not maxed out, however. I mean, it is not at 99% all the time. It has a lot of 98 percentages. You don't call that exactly CPU limited, but it could gain a little performance with a better system, even with the GTX 970. Imagine how CPU limited the GTX 1070 was. I believe we can see here why CPU number 4 is having crazy high CPU load, but we do have some usage on the other cores, so in terms of multi-threading, this game is not too bad. The frame rate is very high, as you saw, so okay, it is mostly CPU limited because the GPU load is not very high. It will be playable on graphics cards way lower than the GTX 970 even. CPU temps are okay. 3.5 gigabytes of RAM usage. I believe I had the same readings on the GTX 1070. 1.5 GHz for the core clock. 2.4 gigabytes of video RAM usage. This should be the limiting factor regarding graphics cards. I believe even on the Radeon 7950 it would be quite playable. I will test it at some point for sure. So maxed. I believe I am on my network drive already, so I'm going to open my previous run on the GTX 970. Yes, I am on my network drive 1070 with the 860, and now I'm going to open the GTX 970 with the 2500K we just saw. Fraps, benchmarks, and I want this flat out that was just done. 137.20, very good. Indeed, we do not have a huge difference compared in comparison with the two systems. Comparing the two systems, we do have a better comparable, of course, due to the increased variability of the 970 run. The stuttering is the same for both systems. Again, don't forget that the 1070 was extremely CPU limited. I think I had something like 60% GPU load. So these are system comparisons, as they are always, of course, but it is even more pronounced now because of the extra CPU limit on the GTX 1070 run. Let's focus on the 970 for now. The frame times. No, I'm going to this huge spike. I don't know what that is. We saw that on during the game. Something held back the system for a second or something. but other than that, the frame times are very good, exemplary, I would dare say. Very little stuttering, excellent. The blue frame times are very close to the red line, which is a good thing. No stuttering. Time spent beyond 16.7 milliseconds is almost zero. Actually, we have only this huge spike of 100 milliseconds that was registered by Fraps, correctly of course. I don't know why. Something happened at that point. Frame times very good, below 10 milliseconds for the most part. The game is very light indeed. So let me make this blue and this one red, so we can see more clearly what's going on. Aside from this huge spike here, everything else seems to be quite similar. The red and the blue runs are very close together. Of course, again, once more, these frame times are based on a very CPU limited GTX 1070 with a very little CPU limited GTX 970. So the two systems produce the same gaming experience with different hardware, of course. The frame rate is also quite closely packed together, with a little advantage for the GTX 1070. We did see these frame time spikes that occurred during the 1070 run. These are most likely due to the CPU. None of these occurred on the 970 run, but we did have this huge spike. So there, min, max and averages quite close together. It would be hard to distinguish the two runs if you sat in front of the two systems and actually played the game. It felt exactly the same to me. Variability and stuttering, same stuttering for both runs. The variability was a little higher on the 970, but this could be affected by this huge spike of 120 something milliseconds. It gets on my nerves when these things happen. I have no control over these, but that's why I make my runs so long, because I want to expose any system weaknesses. So 99th percentile, 10.5 milliseconds for the 970, 8.8 for the 1070. We can see that the 1070 run was indeed a little better, but we do have a correlation of the frame times during quite a long period of the gameplay. It was to be expected from the frame rate numbers we saw, although I have seen some crazy things sometimes. Time spent beyond curve, lines crossing with each other, and of course the comparable frame rate, which is again quite close together. A little better for the 1070, but still quite playable on the 970, more than playable actually. The game is very light and it can be played on a vast majority of systems, weaker than the two I'm benchmarking in this, I'm comparing in this video. Another video has reached its end, my friends. I hope you find it interesting and entertaining as I did. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on my next one.